I have not been to Minnesota in probably 20 years.
Bring gas. Welcome to Flagrant Howls, a Minnesota Timberwolves lifestyle podcast.
All right, welcome to Flagrant Howls. We're going to get to a special but familiar guest here in just a moment on the podcast after we shout out a special and familiar soda and a face on these Pepsi souvenir cups, Justin Jefferson. For the YouTube audience, you can see here. Click that like button and subscribe button on the Flagrant Howls YouTube channel. But you can get these Justin Jefferson Pepsi souvenir cups inside Buffalo Wild Wings locations around the Twin Cities. And when you order 12 wings of any style, you get one of these cups. And you can ask them to fill it with whatever you want, a little Pepsi, whatever your favorite flavor of Pepsi is. Buffalo Wild Wings is the preferred sports bar of the Minnesota Vikings for you crossover Vikings and Wolves fans. And on the side of this cup, you can scan the QR code and enter to win Victor's Ride. It's a Polaris 1000 ATV that they will drive right up to your house if you win. So Pepsi and Justin Jefferson with Victor's Ride that you can win with this QR code. And you can get these cups inside Buffalo Wild Wings locations when you order 12 wings of any style. So yeah, welcome into Flagrant Howls. Our guest on this show is an OG founder, a founding father of Flagrant Howls. You can find him regularly on the Dane Moore NBA podcast. And you'll be able to find him in about 15 years at the Wolves' new arena, probably pulling the curtain off Jaden McDaniels' retired jersey in the rafters. Kyle Theige making his return home to Flagrant Howls. What's up, buddy?
Oh, this is awkward. I thought this was Vikings vent line. I wanted to talk about JJ McCarthy. What's up, man?
You are welcome to rant about the Vikings' extremely vague quarterback situation if you want. We can carve out some time for that.
I need 60 seconds at some point in this podcast to give you one Vikings take. As I said off mic, going to my first Vikings game this weekend, Vikings-Eagles, have pretty good seats. I don't know where to tailgate. I don't know what to do. So if anyone listening to this has recommendations, leave them in the comments. But yeah, Sunday is going to be an awesome football day. Saturday, we're doing a little Wolves Fest at Falling Knife. But today, I've been excited about this because I think you and I have been fighting for 4 or 5 months. So we should probably clear the air.
Yes, we've been at each other's throats. There's been controversy. There's been drama behind the scenes. I do feel like hopefully it makes you feel good that people do care about your 100%. Flagrant Howls whereabouts. That every episode people do wonder, where's Kyle? So Kyle, I mean, and I not to like speak for you, but you have a life and a job. You're doing a ton of stuff for Dane Moore's NBA podcast, and you will continue to be a recurring, but not necessarily like every week scheduled. We're kind of working on schedules, but you're a friend of the show as long as you want to be here on Flagrant Howls. And so we will be hearing from Kyle throughout the season for sure.
Yeah, no, I might be an only child, but I don't love attention. So I didn't love having my name all over Reddit and the internet. But just to keep it short, I think the last one we did of these was back in May. And then it was 100% my call. I didn't probably handle it the best, but that was during a time where, and we've been open about this, like I work in cancer research. Cancer research has saved my mom's life and my mother-in-law's life multiple times. And cancer research was kind of under attack this summer. Things have trended up in my job. Also, I almost lost my grandma in May. So it's just kind of a hodgepodge. And I just disassociated with the internet a lot and kind of stepped away. So Phil and Judd and Dex did a great job of keeping the show going. And I think you and I are going to try to do a couple of these a month. But yeah, it's my apologies for just kind of ghosting everyone. But it was a tough summer. It's getting better now. Cancer research is still what I do on a daily basis. And I know it still means a lot to you and I. We keep losing family members to cancer. So apologies to everyone who helped build this community. And I think you and I are back. And I mean, no better way to be back than to talk about the top 100 list, which we're going to do here in a second.
Also, you did miss the debut of the latest Wolves news sounders too. So I mean,
I'm
latest Timberwolves news.
My mom still listens to all these, and she's like, "So when they got rid of you, did they use that money to get better sounders?" And I was like, "I think so."
Yes, that's yeah. We've beefed up our production budget. It's big time in the last few months. So another thing we're gonna do for sure on this episode is reopen the raw files of the top 100 Timberwolves rankings because We have not done one of these in a long time, basically since like Julius Randle and Dante DiVincenzo and playoff TJ Shannon for 5 minutes. So we need to find a place for some of the, and I have sometimes in my spare time, I'll just like get a glass of wine in me in the middle of off season and open up the top 100 Timberwolves file. And so to start the exercise in like, I don't know, 15 or 20 minutes, I have placed where I think some of the new players should be. The workshopping started kind of back in the spring, and then as just a starting point. And then you can come in and say, no, dude, no, Julius Randle needs to be here. And then we can put a stamp on a new update on the top 100 Timberwolves. But before we do that, you and I have not talked about, at least on the microphone for this audience on Flagrant Howls, this season's Timberwolves team. So just generally from 30,000 feet, what is your level of optimism? I thought right after the season that they were going to go through with a major change or two. I thought, Gobert makes sense. They might look to trade him. Then there was like the Julius Randle, Naz Reid contract extension situations. They wind up essentially bringing back all the core pieces. And it looks like, we'll see if Finchie actually goes through with this when the games start, expanding the rotation to maybe 9, 10. I think there's 11 guys that could get minutes, not like necessarily all in one night. I think they're going to play Beranger once in a while for like 5 minutes at a time. So just like your general level of optimism or not going into the season here, Kyle.
We got to be careful because I feel like anytime you try to be a little critical, you're a hater. And when you try to be a little optimistic, you're drinking the Kool-Aid. So my overall reaction to this emphasis on continuity, right? That has been the buzzword since the ownership transition went into effect and they signed all their guys back, mainly Julius and Naz. They let Nikhil go, but that was a price that they just simply could not afford. And now they're going to try to basically use what I deem the three young guys, which is Rob Dillingham, Terrence Shannon Jr., and Jalen Clark, to kind of fill what Nikhil did. And then the Beranger thing is like, I keep referencing like Zach LaVine levels of excitement of this raw, untapped potential athlete. Like, what are they going to do with him at center? I'm bullish on this year's team because I'm not as bullish on some of the things going on in the West. I think Denver, who we've called Purdue of 1 seeds in the past, that looked really bad. They got better. The Thunder are going to be better. The Rockets probably got better. But I don't think the Lakers got better. And I don't really think the Clippers got better. I don't think the Warriors got better. So I think this continuity should help them. You look at their schedule specifically, Phil, their first 12 games are pretty light. 2 of them are against the Lakers without LeBron. So I think if they don't have to reintroduce each other and can kind of just build upon where they left off in May, which was a gentleman's sweep against the best team in the league, I think they should come out to an early, fast start, mix in some of the young guys. We can talk about the rotation. I think 11's impossible, but I know what you're saying. There's 11 guys who should qualify every night to play.
They're not going to play 11, although Oklahoma City did that once in a while, like non-garbage time would just play 11 guys. Memphis would do it sometimes. Yeah, I don't think you're going to see a game non-garbage time where 11 guys play, but I think there's 11 guys. When he looks down at the bench this year, there's 11 guys that he would be comfortable calling upon to various degrees, and there wasn't last year. Yeah,
and that's even before we talk about Bones Highland, who has had a preseason. So I just and if you just can't do it, right? This is a Minnesota sports podcast. If you can't embrace the optimism or the continuity, whatever, the other side of the coin is that if this doesn't work, if they do, they're running it back. Everyone but Nikhil, they're trying the same thing with some tweaks. If it doesn't work, I think Tim Conley blows it up next summer. I think they go vastly different because that's who Tim Conley is. Matt Lloyd the other night doing the game with Alan Horton was like, Tim Conley might be the best trader in the league. He loves making trades. He loves making deals. So if it works really well, that's exciting. 3rd straight trip to the Western Conference Finals, I think is there for them. And if it doesn't, I think you see some massive changes and maybe they lean into that quote unquote second timeline where maybe a year from now, Beranger is your starting center and Rob Dillingham is your starting point guard. So either way you look at it, it's going to be exciting and entertaining. But I really do think to start the season, there's some tough matchups. I think Portland's going to be a good first game. I think Portland's kind of an underrated team.
Look at what a homer.
Hey, they're gonna give you a fight for sure. So I just think this team has an edge, and that's kind of what you're looking for when you gamble or whatever. Is they have the continuity. They've talked about it for the last 6 months. They've kind of stood by what they speak on. Everyone's been in the gym all summer, which is still something I can't wrap my head around following this team my whole life. So yeah, they should be one of the, I think they're kind of boring for a lot of analysts right now across the national landscape. They're just like, yeah, the Wolves running it back. But I think that's a strength. I don't think they have to acclimate as many new faces, and they can just, again, early season, can you get out to like 8-4 is like my floor? Can you get out to a 9-3 start? Can you try to get those first couple miles of the NBA marathon where you're leading the pack and then see what happens from there?
Yeah, I think if you were to stack all the reasons to be optimistic for a step forward, like a regular season step forward, I mean, a postseason step forward, they've already gone to the Western Conference Finals 2 years in a row. And so I do think that's on the table for them to, especially if Anthony Edwards takes a step forward. But I think the reasons for why they would be better and just more consistent from the beginning of the season till the end, injuries aside, that list of reasons to be optimistic is a lot longer than the list of reasons where like they would regress. On the regression front, okay, Mike Conley's a year older. He is still the starting point guard, although he was healthy this offseason and by his own words was able to put in a lot more work, just like he had in previous seasons. Rudy Gobert looks and feels healthy, didn't play internationally, but like he's another year older. The rebounding and block shot rates were a problem, last year, kind of second half of the season. But when you look at a list, and there's probably a couple other things you could point to, but when you look at a list of reasons why things could get even better and they could be more consistent, Julius Randle, once he came back from that injury, and even like a little bit before the injury, I think they had won maybe 6 consecutive or 5 consecutive games with Julius. But when Julius Randle played, they were playing at like a 54-win pace last year. So he was net positive. And when he kind of figured out, I don't have to be a driving scoring force as much every night. I can if I need to, but I can be a facilitator, etc. He's as happy as he's been in life in a long time. I mean, the fact that he was sitting in a dark room like a year ago, just depressed and begging to be traded from New York, and his family was noticing, and he's self-medicating, and now you see like happy, smiley Julius in front of the cameras at practice every other day. Anthony Edwards, my favorite thing is Anthony Edwards going into the lab like he does every summer. He just disappears off the face of the earth. His social media is basically just like sponsored posts and stuff. And he works on a mid-range. He looks in the mirror and says, all right, I'm not as good as Luka was 2 years ago. I'm not as good as SGA. I'm really good. I'm confident. But what do those guys have that I don't have? What did they do to me and us that I can combat? So I'm going to go into the lab and I'm going to work on a mid-range game, a turnaround fadeaway. I'm going to talk to Michael Jordan. I'm going to study film for how defenses are blitzing me and double teaming me. And I'm just going to add another layer or two to my game. Oh, and I'm going to get down to like 3% body fat and hunt for the scoring title. So like, I think there's another ant leap coming this year. And that doesn't even count. I'm a TJ Shannon stan. And I think Jalen Clark is like a plus 10 every single night. I think he's going to be one of the most impactful players. And we'll see about Dillingham. But I just think there's a long list of reasons why they will take a step forward.
I was lucky enough to, I think I attended my 6th media day this year. And I just try to tell the listeners, because I am very privileged to show up to those things and get a credential of like what I hear. And it's not propaganda, but it's like a lot of those media days, man. And you know this because you've pulled up to a lot of them. They're not always a great vibe. Like the one after they fired Gerson Rosas was pretty tough. And last season, trading Carl 48 hours before media day, like
they couldn't even talk about it officially at media day.
And but the guys that just kind of let it rip anyway, like Ant specifically, they talked about losing a brother. Like it was a lot of wounded puppies, and you kind of felt for them because they did lose a longtime teammate. This season, it wasn't just like my favorite thing that was said at media day from Ant was when he talked about guys having camps in the summer and no one really like, Nas, you had a camp? Like, you got to let me know. I will fly myself and my crew to your camp and I want you to come to my camp. And he kind of acknowledged that the teams that he saw in the finals last year, specifically the Thunder and specifically the Pacers, all seemed really close. And last year, and this is not breaking news, that wasn't a super close roster. Yes, Jaden and Nas, besties, but that's not up and down the roster. I think this summer, when you hear about all the time that they've spent, again, like Minnesota Summers to me are undefeated and are the first overall draft pick in any sort of season area of the country draft. But for a lot of these guys, Julius would go to Dallas, or these guys would go to Miami. And for them to stick around and Dante's been talking about exploring coffee shops in the North Loop. Like, these guys stuck around. They're in the gym all the time. And I think that's part of it's kind of hallmark cardy, but I think the Thunder last year won the title because they were really talented, well coached, but also, 9 guys did post-game press conferences together, right? And they threw the towels on the people's heads. Like, they really loved hanging out together. And you forget when you tune in on a Wednesday to 2.5 hours of FanDuel Sports Network, like, there's another 21.5 hours of that day where these guys are still around each other. And I think this team is about as close as any Timberwolves team I can remember. So that too goes into it. And again, at the end of the day, man, after 48 minutes on any given night, you got to win the game. And if they don't win the game, those friendships will be tested. But everything seems to be going in the right direction, including what you said. Dante feels more comfortable. Julius feels more comfortable. Ant has said and done all the right things this summer. And the health factor, too. Mike seems healthier. I still think the point guard position is the biggest question mark this season. And I do think Rob Dillingham needs to be given minutes early on just to be like, hey, can you sink or swim? But yeah, it's going to be a really interesting season. And I do think it starts game one because this team has an advantage in the first couple of months, and it'll be interesting to see if they kind of apply it to the record.
Did you see, we touched on this earlier this week on Flagrant Howls, ESPN.com, Kevin Pelton, their analytical guy, simulated the entire NBA season.
But did you see what actually he did? He did 1,000 simulations, and then he randomly picked one of them. He picked the 620th. So you're not wrong, by the way. It was great content.
I must have skipped past that fine print at the beginning.
I couldn't. It was like if I said, hey, I ran 1,000 simulations of the Timberwolves season, and in the 742nd one, Glenn Taylor bombed Target Center. And that's the one I wrote about. It's like, why would you do that? Like, there's 999 other simulations. So to your point, I mean, I'll throw it back to you. Not only did they not make the playoffs, they also won the lottery. And gave the first overall pick to the Jazz.
And then they wound up with the 5th pick, right? Because is it a pick swap year?
I think it's a pick swap, which is why you're not thinking about it, because it's like the Jazz are going to be terrible. But yeah, it's a pick swap year in 2026.
Yeah. And then he had your Blazers in your neck of the woods beating the Wolves in the semifinals of the in-season tournament in Vegas, and then also beating the Wolves at Target Center in round 1 of the play-in. So if that happens, new rivalry forming with the Blazers.
Wolves propaganda aside, he had the Warriors winning over 60 games.
It's crazy. I don't think I think the Warriors are going to be good and competitive and feisty. I don't know that, like, Steph Curry he's not looking to win 63. They're going to have Steph healthy for the entire duration of the season to win 63 games. I just don't know that makes sense.
I think Kevin Pelton had him at 61 and 21. I'm a man who likes to make wagers. I would bet you that Draymond and Jimmy don't play 61 games. No. Jimmy for health reasons and Draymond because he'll probably just kick someone in the nuts. But, like, that's crazy to me. Like, that was so. And age, by the way, this Timberwolves team has some older guys, and I think that's interesting, especially Rudy and Mike. But one of the things I think is their strength is they have so much young talent, and that's going to be, spoiler alert, a theme of the NBA this season. And I think you already saw it with LeBron James. Like, he can't, this is the first time he's going to miss a season opener in his, 23-year career. Yeah. The old guys, especially in the West, the LeBrons, the Stephs, the Jimmys, all these guys, like, they're going to start to fall apart, not because they're bad players, but because Father Time is undefeated. So that's another kind of feather in the cap of a team that relies mostly, right, on guys under 30.
Also, major credit to Kevin Pelton and ESPN.com, because we just spent 5 minutes debating the 625th simulation of 1,000 here on Flagrant Howls. Before we get to our top 100 Timberwolves of all time update here, I'm just perusing social media here, and you and Dane gave some hot takes for the 2025-26 season. Which one of the 4 hot takes if you had to stand by one above all? So you said Julius Randle is going to lead the team in total assists, that Jalen Clark is going to be top 8 in minutes played on the team, Anthony Edwards MVP, and Jaden McDaniels has multiple 30-point games. I'm going to take the Jalen Clark one out because it's the mildest of the other takes. The other three, Julius assists, Ant MVP, Jaden multiple 30-point games. Which one are you clinging to the most aggressively?
So we did design that like the spice levels at Buffalo Wild Wings. So my first one was Julius Randle to lead the team in total assists. He was second last year. Not the most bold prediction, but I do still think having your power forward lead the team in assists is bold enough. Jaden McDaniels has scored 30 or more points once in 366 regular season games. So whoever said that wasn't a bold prediction, I don't know, man. 1 divided by 366 is a lot of decimals. So I think that's pretty bold. And then Ant MVP, I mean, that just to me is like a parlay of it's tied into the team being good. If they're over under set at 48.5. If they don't win over 48.5 games, he's not going to win MVP. But at 20-1, and a year ago he was 12-1, and I think he's better. I think he's on a better team. And I think the guys ahead of him, I just don't know if Giannis is going to have enough team success. And I don't know if Luka Doncic is going to have enough team success. Jokic, to me, would be the smart bet, even though he's like 2-1. And then I think voter fatigue is real. I think Shea will struggle with that, even if his team is really, really good. So if Anthony Edwards can be steering a ship that is top 3, top 2 in the West come springtime, you know this, the Kendrick Perkins of the world, the Stephen A. Smiths of the world, they want to vote for him. They want to vote for the guy that has.
If he can score 30 points a game and they're like the 3 seed in the West, it's kind of.
And again, at 20-1, like that's probably a nice little wager of like it's bold enough that no one really has it priced in. So why not bet on that rather than trying to bet on them to like win the West?
My current hottest take is, and this is all due respect to my guy Quincy Lewis, to Kevin Lynch, Rebecca Brunson, Tom Crean is already the best pre and post game analyst in the history of Timberwolves basketball. They announced that like an hour before this podcast. That and people might be like, Tom Crean, like the Indiana coach, like the Marquette guy, and Georgia, where they didn't have a ton of team success in his 5 years at Georgia, but Anthony Edwards played his freshman year for Tom Crean.
Yep.
And so the Wolves have hired Tom Crean to do a bunch. I think it's going to be Crean and Rebecca Brunson, and then I don't know if they're going to find someone else too, but he's going to do a bunch of Wolves pre and post game, and I guess comment on just what he knows about having coached Anthony Edwards in the past.
Well, not to spoil the top 100 list update, but Tom Crean's
on it.
Tom Crean, well, he's number 98. He does need to perform. I think he's going to be awesome. I think he's going to provide real insight into how Ant thinks and the stories he has of Ant. I think it's going to be awesome for the viewers and the listeners. But he has to do some stuff before he dethrones our girl Rebecca Brunson. Because Brunson is awesome. She was so nice to me when I got to intern with the Lynx. She's really good at what she does too. But overall, just let's pull back even further. Like you and I have never talked on this, Mike, about Alan Horton getting the big promotion.
Yeah.
This product now on the court is really good, but it doesn't mean as much if you don't have good broadcasters. I mean, tune into some other league passes, and it's like, this is tough. So between Jim Pete and Michael Grady, who might be the biggest celebrity now in my phone, he's everywhere right now at Amazon and NBC and everything, getting new suits every day. And then, Crean and Brunson and Marnie and everything and all the radio stuff. So it's going to be an awesome season of coverage if you can find the games, by the way. But yeah, Tom Crean, what a fun. I thought they'd hire him as an assistant coach, but maybe he just wants to talk. So
yeah, I think he's closer to the bench now than he would have been. So maybe at some point. But I think what we can do here is I'm going to pull up. This is the raw spreadsheet here for visual purposes. This is not going to be like the prettiest for graphics purposes, but we're going to work our way through the raw spreadsheet. We can also think about former Timberwolves on this list that we would like to see become part of the pre and post game broadcast, because it's kind of crazy. Like they don't have it. Yeah. Like Quincy Lewis played here for 5 seconds, but there's not that many. I mean, Gary Trent's been around, but he's never been part of the pre and post. So they don't have, like, Sam Cassell's been coaching. So I don't know. Kevin Love. Maybe we can fly Kevin Love in after he's done playing.
Do you know where Kevin Love is, by the way? Like what team he's on?
So who he play for?
Yeah, who he play for?
Is it the Spurs?
The Utah Jazz.
The Jazz. Okay.
You know where Kyle Anderson is? This is not. I'm not judging
Was
you.
he part of a trade?
He's also on the Utah Jazz.
That's right. I do remember that. Yeah.
about as miserable as possible in team photo.
Those guys are going to be like,
yeah,
those are like buyout guys or kick into a trade kind of guys, right? They have to be. I'm going to pop this up here. You can see the spreadsheet here, right?
I can see the first 11.
Yep. Okay. That's good. This is as big as I can make this. It only lets you go to like 200% on the Google Sheets.
I do want to say, like many other, I think I told this, right? Yeah, because your wife helped me write my speech. I became an ordained minister this summer, so I officiated my first wedding. But like the couple that I helped get married, you and I first met online in the DMs. We created this show. You have gotten full custody of the show. I still get to see the kids every once in a while. But this right here, this is our baby. So with all due respect to Judd
and listener Andrew too. Shout out.
He's who we have an affair with. But this is our list. So any updates you make, I do want to talk about. And I will just you start at the top or the bottom, but I have one flaming hot take that I have to give to you.
I love it. So we're gonna start. Well, we're gonna start on the fringes of the 100. So I highlighted some players in green that are either previously unranked that I am slotting in, or are players that I have looked at and thought, you know what, like Terry Porter, I thought he's too low. So I took a couple liberties, and again, like you tell me, nah, dude, sorry, and then we can negotiate like where Jalen Clark should be. But outside of the top 100. As you see here, like Tom Hammonds and Felipe Lopez. For the audio audience, we will talk you through this as much as possible. Right now, I have TJ Shannon and Rob Dillingham at 128, 129.
Okay.
And I feel like there's probably a fight is there a fight for either one of those guys in limited sample size last year? Not the TJ Shannon I think is going to emerge, or the Summer League TJ Shannon, but like TJ Shannon before he plays another regular season game. That's the first question is, because I've got Jalen Clark at 96, right behind Bobby Jackson, Dennis Scott, James Hollywood Robinson. Number 100 is Darko Milicic on here. So this is where we have to figure out, like, do we
cut? Okay.
Yeah.
I would start by saying this again. We are recording this on the afternoon of October 15th. So this is what have you done for me since, like, up till now? 2 months, 3 months from now, if we update this again, I think TJ should be up there. Rob will probably be up there. I mean, looking at my list that I had from about a year ago, we had James Johnson at 89th. I don't know if he just threatened us with a black belt or not, but I feel like maybe TJ's already done enough just to bring happiness to our lives over James Johnson. I don't know if he's on your list anymore. Oh, you moved him down.
Are you looking at?
I'm looking at an old list.
Oh, he was one, but he was like 126 on. So Andrew had sent a bunch after 100 too.
Okay.
Listener Andrew, and he had him at 126. So it's possible. What probably happened is I bumped him out and then took the rest of Andrew's list and continued forward after like 125. So
I think
unless you want to fight for James Johnson in the top 100.
I don't want to fight James Johnson ever. I think the start of a new calendar year, the three young guys, Jalen, TJ, and Rob, should and would and will be in the top 100. But for now, Jalen Clark played the most minutes out of those three guys. So I have no problem with you adding him into the top 100 and not the other two guys. All three will make it. But for now, Jalen Clark, you're the only one who has earned the top 100 list.
Yeah, so I've got him in at 96 because I'm basically saying Jalen Clark already is a more impactful Timberwolf than Derek Williams, the former number 2 overall pick. I know Derek Williams like played more minutes and whatever, but he was a losing player. Jalen Clark is a winning player in a smaller sample size. Rashad McCants, losing player. Antoine Walker was just here like because he was obligated to be. And Darko stashed his entire bankroll in bags of cash under his mattress. So Jalen Clark's smarter than that, so he's above Darko as well.
Yeah, and
Jalen Clark is a better version of Josh Okogie. That's another take.
That's fair. Again, this might seem like recency bias, but the biggest X factor for both of us as the judge, jury, and execution of all this is that these guys just win games, right? Like Wesley Johnson had more than a cup of coffee here as the 4th overall pick, but he just never, and some of it was organizational failure and ownership failure and all that stuff, but like he never moved the needle. And some of these guys have moved the needle or contributed. So Jalen Clark, welcome. Would imagine Jalen Clark will only skyrocket up, especially if he plays top 8 minutes this season for Chris Finch. So keep it moving. Thurl Bailey at 90.
So here's for the audio audience, 100 through 90 is Darko, Antoine Walker, Rashad McCants, Derek Williams, Jalen Clark at 96. We're counting down here. Bobby Jackson, 95. 3D, Dennis Scott, 94. James Hollywood Robinson, 93. Spud Webb, 92. Stacey King, 91. And then Thurl Bailey, who was a good veteran forward in the early Wolves days he was Utah Jazz, like in the mid 80s. He's at 90. So we can kind of fly through some of this. Again, if you flag something, if you say, whoa, wait a second. Chris Carr, former dunk contest guy, 89. Gerald Green, also dunk contest guy, 88. Wayne Ellington, 87. Martell Webster, 86. Mark Blount, 85. Mike James, Tell Me What I Do Bad, 84. Nemanja Bjelica, 83. Shabazz Muhammad, 82. Marko Jaric, 81. Sebastian Telfair, 80.
It just makes you sad more than anything, just to start looking at this list again. Again, we could nitpick 81 versus 83, but what we're basically saying is there are just a lot of guys that came through this organization that did very little, had a cup of coffee, and I think we just keep it moving.
Sebastian Telfair, 80. Scotty Brooks, 79. Dario Saric, 78. Dante Cunningham, 77. Luke Longley, 76. Cherokee Parks, Todd Murphy, Thaddeus Young, Michael Beasley, and Malik Beasley getting us to 71. Tyus Jones at 70.
Yeah, Malik. Let's see how the rest of the list played out. Malik Beasley did play a valuable role on the court, not off the court, for this team when they kind of had that turnaround, the play-in season. So might flag that one. Michael Beasley, probably best known for touching Anthony Tolliver's leg in a Timberwolves jersey. But between him and Derek Williams, man, just two of the biggest what-ifs. Because I think those guys are both hella talented. They just never, between the ears, never could put it together on the court.
So we have Malik Beasley one slot above Michael Beasley. If you had to take one of those guys at their peak as a role player on your team, that's the test for which one should be. I think it's Malik.
I think it's Malik because he embraced a role. But I'm telling you, like Michael Beasley, people still talk about he's kind of like the Cam Newton of basketball. Like a lot of guys that played during his era were like he was a bucket. Like he was impossible to guard, impossible to stop. So, but yeah, he never. I might have an old Michael Beasley Timberwolves jersey at my parents' house. So sad.
I think you should get that framed. He'd probably sign it. I once owned Michael Beasley's toaster and cheese grater from his estate sale.
Favorite story you've ever told me.
I left all the there was like burnt crumbs and toast residue in there, and I left it that way for 3 years. And then my loving mother came over to my condo one time. You know, we had like family over, and she's over there in the kitchen cleaning away after like family dinner. I walked over, and the toaster was like all clean. I was like, "What did you do? She goes, "What do you mean? What I did? I cleaned your toaster. It was disgusting." I'm like, "Those were Michael Beasley's toast shards. How could you, mother?" Anyways,
I thought they were ashes.
Ashes from his Timberwolves career. 70 Tyus Jones, 69 JJ Barea, 68 LaFonso Ellis, 67 Pat Bev, 66 Jamal Crawford, 65 Rocco Robert Covington, 64 Eddie Griffin, 63 Randy Foye, 62 Mike Miller, 61 rest his soul Malik Sealy. And I highlighted Taurean Prince because he was like in the 70s. Okay. And I looked at this and I was like, he was a hugely impactful role player on playoff teams. So I did take the liberty of just moving Taurean Prince. I had him we had him, I should say, until I moved him up to 60. We had him like below the Beasleys. Okay. So I don't know about that.
Just a quick on-screen analysis. Mike Miller maybe seems like a really good guy now. I think he's doing stuff for the Memphis basketball program. But his time here, he came in as a shooter and then just refused to shoot. He also played outside of the Muskie uniforms, which were an absolute felony. He played during some of the worst jerseys this team has ever had, which, by the way, on Wednesday today, Tree jerseys now on sale online. Go get your favorite black and Tree jersey. But Mike Miller, to me, I would just almost move off the list. Like, he made me so mad.
But he was still, I agree. Everything you said is 100% correct. But he was still like, I know they were a losing team. He was like their main facilitator. So let's pull that season up. It was 2008-9.
Tough season.
He shot 38%, but like his attempts were down. He was averaging 7 attempts per game with Memphis 2 years before that, down to 3 attempts because he refused to shoot. But he was like their main distributor. He rebounded. I don't know. You're probably right. He's probably too high. But
my biggest one is, and he's a lightning rod for a lot of people, and I think he's been described to me by someone in the organization as a can of Red Bull, because he kind of hits you for a couple hours and you kind of like wear off and like, I don't want that anymore. But Patrick Beverley, I do think, played a real role in churning this. I mean, he was the guy at Media Day that year that was like, hey man, we're going to go to the playoffs. And everyone kind of laughed at him, ourselves included. So I think, I don't know if he's a top 50 player. He only was here for like 1.5 years or whatever, but
I mean, he helped them get to the playoffs for sure.
Anthony Edwards gets most of the credit pie here, maybe some Chris Finch too, but Pat Bev did kind of rekindle this whole thing as we enter the Timberwolves golden age. So as high as you can comfortably put him, I think he's a top 60 guy.
How about above Mo Williams? If we moved him above Mo Williams, but he's got to be behind Troy Hudson though.
Yep, that's fair. That's fair.
I'll move him above Ryan. Ryan Gomes is one of the most underrated. Bad Timberwolves team, good role players.
This chunk of the list is tough.
So we're gonna do this. We're gonna say bye to Pat Bev there.
Okay.
And we're going to do this. We're going to move these guys down. Let's see my spreadsheet work here. Look at that. And then we'll go Pat Beverley. Is there an E?
50.
Are there 3 E's in Beverly?
Yeah, I think you did that right. 52. Good work, Pat Bev. Promotion.
There we go. Okay. So into the 50s here. So Anthony Tolliver 60, Craig Smith 59, Gary Trent 58. A lot of random big men here. Yeah. Felton Spencer 57, Dean Garrett 56. Chuck Person, 55. Mo Williams once dropped 50, 54. Ryan Gomes, 53. Pat Bev, 52. T. Hud, 51. I'll keep going so you can get some more context here. Corey Brewer, 50.
Okay, here we go.
Andrei Kirilenko, 49. Jeff Teague, 48. Luke Ridnour, 47. Rasho Nesterovic, 46. Michael Williams, 45. Now the list gets like, okay, we're getting to some like actual NBA players here in the 50s. Zach LaVine, 44. Ricky Davis, 43. Kevin Martin, 42. J.R. Ryder, 41. And Fred Hoiberg at 40.
Each person listening to this can comfortably move each guy's around, right? I think some people would probably say Corey Brewer higher than some of these guys, maybe just the all-around package, right? He was here for a while, big smile. I'm going to be honest with you, hand up, ageism. I don't know who Michael Williams is. So you could have just made that name up, or you could tell me who that is. I'm sorry, Michael.
Early, mid-90s guard for the Timberwolves. He might have spent 2 stints here, but he was originally a second-round pick by the Pistons, but he was here from like 92 through 96, did not play the 96-97 season, came back. So he was part of the first few years of KG's career, but he was their starting point guard 92, 93, 93, 94, 15 points a game, 8-9 assists a game. Just kind of a good spark plug point guard in the early to mid 90s. So
no real issue here. The Andrei Kirilenko one, he's on the Mount Rushmore of including Derek Williams and Michael Beasley of guys. I loved that player. I mean, I loved those types of players. He was kind of like a Russian Kyle Anderson. Also, Andrei Kirilenko was well ahead of Kawhi Leonard in terms of sketchy off the court deals, because I'm pretty sure, if my memory serves, Andrei Kirilenko like opted out of a contract or whatever and then signed with the Brooklyn Nets, who were owned by Prokhorov, for like way less than what his option was. And I would imagine that he was just gifted many different houses in Russia. So shout out to him. He was ahead of
tracksuits.
In tracksuits. So yeah, I have no problem with that list. I think it really starts at 40. Fred Hoiberg is, like you said, a real he did stuff for this franchise. So I think for him to be kind of at the 40 mark is a good starting place for the top 40.
All right, now you can see some names highlighted in green here. All right, again, this is just, we'll start with 39, Terry Porter. Terry Porter was a hugely impactful veteran guard, was with Portland in the early 90s. He joined the Timberwolves and was a huge reason why they became a playoff team as a role player. And he was there in the formative years of Kevin Garnett. So 39 Terry Porter, 38 Trenton Hassel, 37 Jared Vanderbilt, 36 Taj Gibson. Debuting on the list, 35 Dante DiVincenzo, Anthony Peeler, 34, Chauncey Billups, 33, Doug West, 32, Derrick Rose, 31, Tyrone Corbin from the early 90s, number 30.
Let's use this as an opportunity quick to talk about the 25-26 Timberwolves, because someone has already threatened us in the comment section, and this hasn't published yet, for Dante being 35th, because I think his Q rating is low. He did not have a good playoffs at all. He was banged up a little bit. He was open about struggling with the trade. Like, where are you at right now in terms of your expectations for year 2 of Dante? Like, are you buying that stock? Because I think the stock is a lower price than it was a year ago.
Definitely buying Dante stock. At the end of the year, he was one of the best three-point shooters in the history of Timberwolves basketball. He shot 40% on 7 attempts per game. So for me, like, part of my own like worldview on these rankings is I'm going to value I value your peak greatness, and if you are really good at something, over being just like vaguely around the team for a long time.
Okay.
So I know Dante got off to a really bad start. He was bad in the playoffs. He is also objectively one of the best three-point shooters in a single season in Timberwolves history at that volume. And he was kind of a just Swiss Army knife, jack of all trades. So, if you wanted to tell me that, hey, after 1 year, you got to move Dante DiVincenzo back behind like
Zach LaVine
or something. But Zach LaVine was Dante DiVincenzo more of a winning player than Zach LaVine until the playoffs.
And to be honest, like, that has kind of proven out, right? Zach LaVine has never really won anywhere he's won, even though he was a fantastic and exciting player. I think the Dante one, in terms of a little season preview talk, he has the highest ceiling and like lowest floor to me. I think it comes down to, what is his role? Is he going to be starting at point guard by game 30? Something I don't love, just because I'm a traditionalist and I think more of a quarterback at that position, but the offense looks really good when he's out there playing alongside Ant and Julius. He works really well off those guys. So I just want Dante to be shooting a lot of threes. Like you said, he's one of the best already in this organization's history to do it. Yeah. So I think a good season of Dante DiVincenzo, his stock is lower, but I would invest in that, because I think if he has a good season, 35 makes a lot of sense.
I can hear some people, like the real hardcore top 100 truthers. By the way, are you good for like 10 or 15 more minutes?
I'm taking the day off for this. Let's go.
Okay. I'm bumping some stuff here because we're on a roll. So Fred Hoiberg at 40, you might say, wait a second. Hoiberg, if you're talking like just sniper three-point shooters, yeah, Hoiberg in 2 years with the Wolves was in that like 45% range on 2 attempts per game.
Right, exactly.
And wide open in the corner because Kevin Garnett commanded so much attention. So, all due respect, I mean, Hoiberg did his job at a really high level, but DiVincenzo on quadruple the attempts per game at 40% and adding all these other things, scoring more points, etc. So, I don't know. If people want to fight that, they can fight that. Chauncey Billups, people might think that's a little high for a guy that didn't really blossom until he was with the Pistons. But Billups in the early 2000s was the starting point guard for playoff KG teams. Yeah. He started like 90 games for the Timberwolves and was already showing major signs of being a really good player in this league, knocking down threes, distributing, scoring a little bit. So maybe he's a little bit high, but he was a winning force on some really good early 2000s Timberwolves teams as a role player.
Taj Gibson, most famously known for in a Timberwolves jersey, getting that strip steal in the corner. So Taj Gibson led to one of the biggest wins, game 82 against Denver.
Yeah.
Jared Vanderbilt, probably most known for challenging Dane Moore, possibly to a fight online. But other than that, no, I think the list makes really good sense. And again, Chauncey Billups, I mean, I think his work here, his time here gets overlooked because of what he did in Detroit for a championship Pistons team. But he was, and then I'm glad, there's question marks about a lot of these guys, but Derrick Rose, when he was in a Timberwolves jersey, did have that 50-point game where he like kind of cried and like I think the tree jerseys that year too. So that was a cool moment. So I don't really have any issue with the guys in the 30s.
And then Doug West, just long time 90s mainstay. So 30, Tyrone Corbin, 29, Kyle Anderson,
go
28, Gorgie Jeng, 27, Nickeil Alexander-Walker. That's one that we could talk about.
Yep.
20. I'm going to highlight that one actually, just so we can. There we go. Debuting on the list at 26, Julius Randle, and again we can discuss it. 25, Joe Smith, who made getting paid under the table trendy way before Kawhi Leonard and maybe Jalen Brunson ever did. I'm kidding, by the way, if there's any litigious NBA people. Mark Cuban alluded to the Jalen Brunson thing on a podcast. Like, whoa, okay. It's explosive. 24, D'Angelo Russell. I wasn't the biggest fan, but they needed him to become a playoff team, and he did his job for a couple years here. 23, Nikola Pekovic. 22, Ricky Rubio. 21, Latrell Sprewell. 20, OG early 90s Timberwolf, Tony Campbell. 19, OG early 90s Pooh Richardson.
I get to see the kids this weekend. One quick thing, I will filibuster while you update this. I think most of his stands have kind of gone away. It's been a tough last couple of years for him, but Nickeil Alexander-Walker led to far more winning with this organization than D'Angelo Russell. So I think those two have to be swapped.
Yep.
D'Lo can stay in the top 30. He did have some moments here. He was infamously there during COVID from a rooftop in Malibu when they won the lottery and got to draft Ant, and D'Lo gave the little fist bump in his Timberwolves polo. But Nickeil Alexander-Walker was kind of a culture changer, or at least helped change the culture, and then went on to get a bag. And D'Lo did not go on to get a bag after he left here. So those two had to be swapped. But everything else, I mean, Julius Randle, yeah.
What about Julius? Is that too low, too high?
I mean,
I think he's above Gorgie. He's above Kyle Anderson.
Well, I mean, again, like he did. I think his season last year was so fascinating. We never really had enough time to break it down, but like he just didn't start well, and he was kind of injured, and he was kind of moody, and he was self-medicating, all that stuff. And then when he had that injury, and he just had to watch, right? Like a quarterback who gets injured, like you just had to watch these guys play, and he came back, and then they won basically every game with him for 2 to 3 weeks. So in Timberwolves lore, I think Julius Randle, 12 months in, is already a top 30 guy. And I think, I mean, I don't know where you're at with him this season, but I think he could easily make the top 15.
Yeah.
If he goes off and has, like I predicted, or Dane and I both were like, I think he's going to make the All-Star team, which is bold because the West is loaded with guys. But if he's an All-Star this year and he leads to impactful winning, he's going to keep sliding up these rankings.
Yep. I think it's a safe place to put him. You could definitely fight for him to go up a couple more spots, but it's been 1 year. And it was a really nice, for sure, second half of the year. I feel like this is a fair place to put him with room to go up like 5 or 10 spots pretty quickly.
Yep. That's
fair. Okay. I did put a 2 high next to Christian Laettner at 18 because he was just such a boob when he was here. And it's just a kind of a bust of a pick. But he was a good individual player that was just a terrible teammate on bad teams. Number 17, Sam Mitchell. 16, Andrew Wiggins. 15, Mike Conley. I highlighted a couple guys to talk about here, and Naz Reid at 14, Jaden McDaniels at 13, Al Jefferson 12, Stephon Marbury 11.
So we're going to have to crowdsource this part right here, the top 20, to the comment section or to our friends over at Reddit or whatever, because to me, and I'm biased and it's recency, but like, aren't Jaden and Naz guys who have been here now for 6-7 seasons? I mean, Naz Reid is the longest tenured Timberwolves player, the best developmental story. Like, is it? I mean, it's weird, right? It's embarrassing. If you're the Celtics fan listening to this, you're like, those guys are in the top 10 of all time. But I think they are. Are they not? Like, don't you think Jaden and Naz?
Okay. Let's unveil the top 10. Because I think we can't have this conversation unless we unveil the whole thing, and then we can. Okay. I think Al Jefferson was a big time. He was a good offensive player, but a stat stuffer on some bad teams, so that warrants consideration. Whereas Jaden and Naz are like maybe less gaudy box scores, but better winning, impactful players. 11, Stephon Marbury. And a lot of people are going to take issue with Marbury not being one of the 10 greatest Timberwolves of all time, but I will fight. Number 10, Wally Szczerbiak. Number 9, Tom Gugliotta, who I think is the most underrated figure, along with Terrell Brandon at 8, 2 of the most underrated players in Wolves history. 7, Jimmy Butler. Again, he was here for a brief flash of time, but almost single-handedly dragged that team to its first postseason appearance in a decade and a half. This is before like Cat was as big of a force, you know. So Jimmy Butler 7, Kevin Love 6, Sam Cassell 5 for what he did in 2003, Rudy Gobert 4, Cat 3, Anthony Edwards 2, Kevin Garnett 1. Talk amongst yourselves.
When you texted me earlier this week and you said we're going to update the top 100, I was ready to come here and hand the keys to the kid at the top.
Wow.
And then I had, for Dane's podcast, did some research. I was looking up Basketball Reference. If you Google search Timberwolves records and you go to Basketball Reference and you go to the career leaders, Kevin Garnett's name is just first in everything. And I think as long as Anthony Edwards stays in Minnesota, which I think he loves being here, he's committed, he's fully ingrained in the community, he is going to be the heir to this whole thing. And when it's all said and done, he'll be the best player in franchise history for one of the 30 NBA teams. And I think that's like crazy. That's got to be a lifelong, accomplishment. But he's not there yet. And I was ready to say he was there. And then I was reminded of like some of the stats. It's like Kevin Garnett played 970 games and sat 381. So he's got a long way to go. He's going to get there. He's going to be first when you and I do this in our 50s. But for now, it's still KG at the top. It's Ant 2. It's Carl 3. That is like unarguable. 4 is a lightning rod, and I think you did it right. Rudy Gobert is, you're not going to have Sam Cassell over him. You're not going to have Kevin Love over him. He has led the dirty parts of winning in this kind of golden age of Timberwolves basketball. And then at 5, Sam Cassell, I defer to you on this one just because you are a year or two older than me and you remember better than I do. He was kind of he was a huge part of that big Timberwolves Western Conference Finals run. And if he doesn't get hurt, they probably make the finals. And I think they
probably win it. Yeah. He was the second best player on the best Timberwolves team in history, regular season team in history.
Walk me through the Gugliotta one again, because every time his name comes up, we have him at 9th right now, but you're always like, I need the listeners to know, especially the younger ones, like he was awesome.
So Tom Gugliotta was, along with KG, I think they both made the All-Star team the same year in 96-97. So he was tied with KG, the first All-Star in Wolves history. On the first 2 playoff teams in Wolves history, he was their best player.
Okay.
So they went to the playoffs, and people think like KG and Steph, right? Gugliotta was the best player on those 2 teams, All-Star, MVP votes in 1997. So he was with the Timberwolves for parts of 4 seasons, but in the 2 playoff years where they broke through, Tom Gugliotta was playing 39 minutes a night. He was averaging 20 points, 9 rebounds, 4 assists, and like 2 more stocks. He was efficient from the field, and he was a force defensively as well. So, and he kind of just like was the veteran presence that that team needed to become a viable playoff team. So some of this is like your meaningfulness in Wolves history for me, and Tom Gugliotta was the best player on the first 2 Timberwolves playoff teams. And that's my biggest argument.
And both those teams, those 2 playoff teams, had Kevin Garnett on it, is what you're saying?
Correct. Yes.
Okay, so a little bit, I'm reaching, but a little bit of how like that first playoff run in 21 or whatever was like Cat was the best guy on the team, but Ant was coming. Like it was kind of like that a little bit. Okay. I have no problem with that. Can you give me, we don't have to go through every one of these. Kevin Love up there. He was here for a long time. Did a lot of cool stuff. The 30 for 30 game was sweet. Jimmy Butler. I always get like, if Jimmy Butler built my house, but then burned it down, is it like a net positive or is it like a net neutral? But Terrell Brandon, that's the one I probably remember the least. Yeah. So can you just explain to anyone under 37 what his impact was on this organization?
Yeah, and again, like poke at me in the comments if I'm wrong on this. Stephon Marbury was clearly the more flashy, recognizable name because they drafted him in the first round, or they traded Ray Allen for him in a swap in the first round. And it was him and KG as the 19, 20-year-olds that were going to carry this franchise forward. And that's great. But then after 2.5 years, Stephon Marbury pieced out and asked for a trade. He was only here for 2.5 years.
Okay.
And he wasn't one of the two best players on either of those 2 full seasons because Gugliotta and Kevin Garnett were. He played 167 games as a Timberwolf. Terrell Brandon played 40 or 50 more games as a Timberwolf. Back end of his career, foot injury kind of derailed him. And was just a more efficient, consistent point guard. And he was on better teams that won more games as the point guard for the 99 through 2002 Timberwolves. So it's like when you kind of compare their numbers. So Stephon Marbury as a Timberwolf, 17 points a game, 8 assists, mostly inefficient, 41% from the field. Terrell Brandon, 16 points a game, 8 assists, 45% from the field, and was just a steady guiding hand as a point guard. So, he's just like more games, better numbers, better winning teams. So outside of Marbury being more of a star name in the franchise's history, he was not as good of a player or as impactful on winning as Terrell Brandon, in my opinion.
I think the only one then, and I think it's fair. I think it's time. He did sign another extension here. As much of a fan as I am of Jaden McDaniels, and I think he's been a winning player, he doesn't have to crack the top 10. But I would say slot down Wally, Steph, and Al Jefferson a peg. I think today, it's my birthday month, it's fall. I think Naz Reid deserves to be told to the masses that he is a top 10 Timberwolf of all time.
I wouldn't
People
fight
have
you on this.
tattoos of his name on the inside of their lips. There's towels in London at Vikings games. If we're doing full picture here of the brand and the Q rating and the production, he's the longest tenured guy here. He's made now he's made over $100 million, and he's loved. I mean, he is, for a team that has Anthony Edwards, you would think that like it's far and away just Ant, but I think Naz is as loved as anyone on this team. So congratulations, Naz.
What if we did it this way? What if for the visual here, the YouTube audience can see this. If we move Wally, Steph, and Al down a couple notches, and Naz Reid and Jaden McDaniels for their contributions on now 4 consecutive playoff teams, slotting up, and I'm jumping Naz over Jaden here to make Naz the 10th best player in Timberwolves history, and they're basically tied for 10. They're really like right attached at the hip. Naz Reid 10, Jaden McDaniels 11, into Wally at 12, Steph at 13, Al Jefferson 14, Mike Conley 15. Does that feel a little bit more? Okay.
100%. One more time for the audio listeners, for those in their cars, for those working. Scroll up to the top. The top 10 in reverse order of the Timberwolves as of October 15th, 2025. Naz Reid at 10, Tom Gugliotta at 9, Terrell Brandon at 8, Jimmy Butler at 7, Kevin Love at 6th, Sam Cassell in the top 5, Rudy Gobert 4th, Karl-Anthony Towns 3rd, Anthony Edwards 2nd, and still at the top after years of doing this, the big ticket himself, Kevin Garnett.
Yeah. I think the biggest controversy here is going to be philosophically Sam Cassell 5, Kevin Love 6, where you have Kevin Love who spent like 7 years putting up crazy numbers on exclusively losing teams, 0 winning teams, a lot of hollow box score numbers, versus Sam Cassell, who was here for 5 minutes, but was unbelievable as a player, as a leader, as a personality on the best Wolves team in history. And what I'm saying philosophically is I value that 1 year of Sam Cassell more than like 6 or 7 kind of hollow-ish years for Kevin Love.
Okay.
You can fight me. People can fight me on that, but it's also part of the reason why we moved Al Jefferson down and like Jaden McDaniels up and Naz Reid up, because we value. Now, those guys have also been here longer now than Al Jefferson was, so that plays into it too.
We value winning, and then maybe some off-the-court stuff too. But that top 10 is filled with guys who have either won, completely just dominated every statistical category while also winning, or have just been like Naz Reid, a winner and a cool dude. So, and the Rudy Gobert one I think is the most interesting because I don't know where he is in like the top 100 Jazz list. I guess we could reach out to the Locked On Network, but
pretty high. Malone, Stockton.
Yeah, like for him to be the 4th best player in an organization that he's only been here for maybe 4 years now, 4 seasons is crazy. So I think to recap for this roster, Jalen Clark has made it. Johan Berenger will be top 10 by that's all said and done, by the way. Rob and TJ are coming. Julius Randle has made the top 30. And then the Dante one, I think he could be top 50 if we do this next spring. Or if things don't work out, he could slide more than anyone.
And also, I think you kind of brought this up 6 months ago that if they get to the playoffs again, make another run, like winning is part of the current Crops culture, then there should just be a lot more current Wolves as high up as possible. So with this now, now 4 of the top 11 slots in the top 100 all time are current Timberwolves.
Yes.
Which feels better because this is the best era
yes.
in Timberwolves basketball history that we're living in right now. So.
Oh, that felt good.
Wow, dude, look at that.
Glad to have you back in my life.
Let's go. Kyle Theige, find him on the Dame Moore NBA podcast and fight us in the comment section on this top 100 Timberwolves
of
all time list. Click that subscribe button and the like button on the Flagrant Howls YouTube channel, and we'll see you guys next time. This is a Timberwolves lifestyle podcast. See you guys.